Okay, so normally I don't like to open up the hives more than once every 10 days, but I got ApiGuard strips and I want to get these in as soon as possible so it doesn't get too cold to be using them. So at the end of this video I included the warnings and precautions for ApiGuard and the directions for use. The directions for use for these ApiGuard trays are one application of one tray. Then after 2 weeks, one more tray into the hive and leaving the first tray in there to let them completely finish off the first and the second tray. And don't leave them in the hive more than, I believe, 6 weeks. Basically, they are little bowls of gel of the active ingredient being thymol, which is, well, if you don't know, the active ingredient in Listerine mouthwash. And you might remember from the last video 3 days ago, if you're following what I'm up to, I did a sugar shake mite count test, and I came up with just over 2%, 2.3%, 7 mites per a half cup of bees, about 300 bees. So that's why I decided to treat. Some people will won't treat if it's less than 3%, but I figure between 2 and 3%, and it'll go ahead. So, and it'll give me some experience with ApiGuard, which I've never used before. A lot of my beekeeping experience has been in Hawaii, and at the time that I was keeping bees in Hawaii, there was no Varroa mite. So let's get to it. So first objective is we're going to consolidate this 4-box hive down to 3 boxes for the winter. Okay, so that's basically just an empty frame of foundation. So to try to consolidate things down, I'm just going to remove what I see that's just empty foundation that they're still working on. I might leave 1 or 2, if I can, of just empty foundation, just to give them something to continue working on here in the fall. That is mostly just foundation. They haven't filled this one very much. Well, this one's definitely going in. That's good scores. Again, mostly foundation, and I think that makes 10. Now I've got a box that is mostly honey and nectar for winter stores. I'm going to remove the queen excluder now, so the queen and the colony can just move freely through these 3 boxes for winter, and put in the ApiGuard trays, and we'll be done. One thing I'll mention here about the ApiGuard trays is they want you to leave at least 5 millimeters of space above the tray so the bees can get up into the tray to remove the ApiGuard gel. So, luckily I have a shim. Otherwise, this might be a little difficult for many beekeepers. So just remember that you're going to need if you're going to use ApiGuard trays, you need a 5 millimeter space above them. So luckily I made a shim, which I'm going to use for the space. I believe this shim is 9 millimeters total. And since my shim is notched, I'm going to have to tape that later. I am not even going to check the brood, because I did that just a couple of days ago. They want you to leave the top cover on so that they clean off the top cover as well. That's what you got. That's ApiGuard. It smells just like Listerine. Hey, everybody, out of the way. A little social distancing, please. Okay, so the tray's in. My spacer shim is in. I'm going to take their winter honey stores, give it back to them, and I'm going to tape up the notch that I had in my spacing shim. And the inner cover goes back on. And the top cover goes back on. We're done. Last thing to mention is since ApiGuard works by having the bees pick up that thymol gel, I made sure to close off the top entrance and top vent that I have by just closing off the telescoping cover. And I'll keep that closed as long as the thymol's in there, just to make sure that the bees take the thymol gel down through the hive and through the brood chamber and distribute it that way as they eliminate it from the hive. Okay.
Kissy boots!